All right, so into today's talk, a box with a bow. I have no idea what that's about. Let's find out. I started out thinking, that we are accustomed to predictability in our lives. We have calendars and schedules and routines that we keep. And, a wrapped package upends predictability, concealing its contents, offering mystery, suspense, and a surprise. It's at its core, though, spirit is nauseatingly predictable, always acting with love, giving us exactly what we believe. Spirit never asks for clarification, never judges our choices, just delivers whatever we have ordered. So, imagine in our lives if we were to, instead of buying things, going to the store and, saying this is what I want and this is what I'm going to get, if we, instead of buying the items we want, if we just had a subscription service that delivered random items, delivered at random times, wrapped in uninformative packaging. Now, in this imaginary world, we could keep the item with or without opening it, though. We could trade it with someone else for their wrapped package, still not knowing what we're getting or what we're giving up. Life would be interesting, but our economy would be in a little bit of chaos. Now, when we exercise our freedom of choice without thinking through the consequences, we opt for the subscription and forfeit any control over our experiences. Now, while I was putting this talk together, I was thinking, and my birthday coming up, so I was thinking a little bit about family, and I remembered an uncle that, was in our life as I grew up, who was an airline pilot. And once he and my dad were talking about, some of the close calls he'd had and things that made the job kind of exciting. And my dad asked him how he managed to keep his calm when the inevitable challenges of commercial flight arose. And his reply was that pilots are the type of people who always know there is one more option to try, whatever the situation. They never give up. Many admitted the trick, of course, is finding the right option before you run out of sky. Now, this empty box, this box we're talking about, this box with a bow, the box could be empty or at least appear to be empty. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. It could be filled with joy, thinking Santa Claus brings presents to give us joy. Or for the Pandora aficionados out there, it could be filled with demons and fear. As we reach into that box, as we look for that one more option, we don't know what we're going to find in there. But we know there's something, and we're going to try it. As I speak, the world awaits for the beginning of another Super Bowl game. The box is wrapped. In a few hours, we will know what it contains. But we must open the box to learn its contents. Now, again, thinking of boxes as I put this talk together, I was reminded of the physicist Erwin Schrödinger, who back in 1935 postulated the great thing that we've all heard in school, that if we were to place a cat in a box with something that we knew would or could kill it, that we would not know without looking whether the cat was dead or alive, and therefore, in our thinking, it is both dead and alive. Now, I'm not going to dive into that in any depth. You all know this story. So, it's just one of those things that we think about. It's like, well, how could something be dead and alive at the same time? We have to observe it. We have to get into it to figure out what it is. We have to step off the beaten path and get into those woods to figure out what's in there. So each moment of our life brings with it the same mystery. If we subscribe to the Pandora supposition, every box will be received with dread and foreboding. Perhaps you know people like that. People who never miss an opportunity to find a cloud in every silver lining. Ever notice how often they succeed in fulfilling their own prophecy? Now, Holmes writes in The Science of Mind that behind the individual is the universal, which has no limits. In this concept alone lies the possibility of eternal and endless expansion. The limitless universe, however, can and does expand in whatever direction we choose to send it. When we anticipate fear and doom, Spirit willingly obliges with boxes and boxes of our most dreaded nightmares. The Santa Claus syndrome, on the other hand, presumes every box is filled with love and goodness. Now, my life experiences have included a mixture of both. But my spiritual self weighs in heavily on the latter, not refusing to see pain and hardship, but not accepting it as preordained and certainly not permanent. Stepping from the well-worn path into the unknown wilderness with excitement and anticipation of new adventures, revelations, and surprises acknowledges that expansion or growth is the natural order. Some would have us employ the box to contain our spiritual self. There are lists of rules to follow, trying to codify what is holy and what is not. In that limited view, if it does not fit in the box with the lid neatly in place, it cannot be of the God being described. Now, the science of mind offers a broader definition of God. It is this broader definition that immediately spoke to my heart when I learned of it. Oh, it doesn't have to fit in a box. Tell me more. Spirit does not build a box and stuff us or itself into it. Spirit cannot be contained in a box. Holmes writes again in The Science of Mind that should all the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we should yet receive only that which we are ready to understand. You see, we are the box, able to hold only that amount of wisdom we are ready to understand. Beyond the limit of our understanding, Spirit continues to flow unencumbered all around us. In my mind, I'm picturing that scene in the movie Indiana Jones where the apparitions are released to wreak havoc upon the unfaithful, but in a more Ghostbusters Stay Puft Marshmallow kind of way. So Spirit is also the fabric of the box, and so exists both inside, outside, and as the box all at the same time. The cat is both alive and dead. Spirit cannot be contained in a box, and neither should we. Yet we continue to choose borders over broader, conflict over cooperation, and sides over solutions. Science of Mind does not subscribe to a predestining grand design type of existence for us. So it is only my human limitations that lead me to say Spirit probably never expected any one of us to fully get it, at least not for a long time to come. The example of the teacher Jesus back in the day notwithstanding, Our collective awakening, it seems, is to be revealed only after we have exhausted all other possibilities. Again, not because spirit is hesitant, but because our freedom of choice is driving us in so many directions with such strong convictions that we seal ourselves into our own little boxes, stapled, taped, and shrink wrapped against anything we do not understand. Science of mind offers us an alternative. Don Miguel Ruiz writes in the Fifth Agreement that there are no empty spaces between the stars, between the galaxies, between all the universes, which means all the universes are connected. Embrace the box. It can never be empty. It is spirit, and spirit is infinite love. Science informs us there is a thing called dark matter filling every nook and cranny of our universe. While I understand the name springs forth from the lack of light perceived between the stars of deep space, I have to think any such matter is at best transparent, since we clearly see distant stars through countless billions of miles of this stuff. And already, a simple observation prompts a new way of thinking. Maybe we should call it spirit matter. We need to reach into the box with the full expectation of finding there exactly what we believe, knowing that spirit matter becomes whatever we believe it should be. Knowing that, we train ourselves to believe in our own power to create a world that reflects spirit in every way. We see ourselves in others, not as others. We recognize our principles demand we allow each other to awaken at their own pace, to arrive in their own time. We see too that being one, created from the one, any differences we perceive are self-imposed through human limitations. And we let them go. We release any ego-driven idea that our judgments are more important than our freedom. We escape the prisons we have built for ourselves, the boxes we have sealed ourselves into. When we collectively recognize our unity with spirit, then by default with each other, our choices will inevitably bring us all onto the same point in our travels. Now, I don't know if that is when we shed our need for physical form and reemerge as beams of light, or if that point heralds a new Big Bang, nor does it matter. A box with a bow is a present. And it is the present journey we must continue, releasing the triumphs and tragedies of the past, placing no expectation on the future, embracing the unknown, accepting our power, choosing love over control, and knowing there is always, always enough sky. Thank you.
There's always enough sky. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Beautiful. So now we open the floor for questions, any ahas, any insights? So, Reverend Glen.
I hope I haven't left everybody speechless.
You maybe it could be.
Or maybe just dumbfounded, I don't know.
Yeah, probably a little bit of both. Probably a little bit of both. Let me see if I understand what you're saying, that the box is us. What's inside the box is us. The fabric that makes the box is us. The bow, like everything, is us.
It is. It is spirit, and we are spirit, therefore it is us too. In the same way we describe ourselves, we say, well, the spirit is the ocean, we're a drop in the ocean, we're an individual drop, but we're still part of that ocean. And that's the same thing with the box. We're inside, outside, everything in between.
Inside and outside, everything in between. So when we find ourselves tightly wrapped, as you say, in this box, we are in our finite mind thinking that this is all that we are. We are just this box wrapped.
This is everything we can understand, and we accept that limit as the box, and that is where we run afoul of our spiritual selves, that we start to accept limits that really aren't there.
Oh, there was just one other thing that I was thinking. Well, I heard, good morning, sir, again.
Good morning.
At the very beginning of your talk, when you were giving us the setup of how spirit is with us, and you said that it was nauseatingly predictable.
Mm-hmm.
In that you can wrap up the entire science of mind teaching in a few minutes and walk away from it and having said everything there is to say, but it takes us a lifetime to believe it.
And I understand that, and I get that, but nauseatingly, I got caught up on nausea, because that nauseatingly spirit will make me sick. That is what I got.
Because it will just keep loving you no matter what you try to do to it. It just keeps coming back, and our little human egos hate that. They really do. We live for conflict in our little human selves, and spirit just keeps saying, "Hey, if that's what you want, I'm here to deliver."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just wanted to say, I nauseatingly just did not sit right, especially with spirit. Spirit, I don't see it making me sick, but I get the point. I just said, what?
Got your attention, didn't
it? Sure
nauseatingly. Okay. But otherwise, I thought that was an interesting way to say, to describe us, and putting a bow on it. It always makes it attractive. Anytime something has a bow, it does cause one to become more curious than ordinarily. So when you say, when you look at me and I got a bow, if I got a bow in my head, and me, especially with a bow in my head or a bow anywhere on me, it will make you want to say, well, what's up with that? And
special occasion.
And so when you said a box with a bow, that did give us, well, it gave me a reason to want to continue to see how it would outpicture, and how the explanation would outpicture. And I got, when Reverend Mizia concluded, was summarized at the beginning, that the box inside and out is us, and that's spirit, and spirit manifests in all ways. So I got that part, and I thank you. That was an interesting approach.
Yes, it is. Yes, because it's interesting and unique. The way you put it, the way you tie it with your bow, it's interesting. I also want to look at, you say we see ourselves as we see ourselves as others, not in others. I was trying to make the note.
And basically, so often we see others as the other side, the other team, the other tribe, whatever. And we know in our spiritual awakening that when we're looking at somebody else, we're really just looking at ourselves. I mean,
Yes.
if I'm the face of God and you're the face of God, we're all the face of God. We're not the other team. We're not the other tribe from the other valley. We are still from the one source. And we are all created in the same image, even though that image seems to have a wide variety of definitions through our human eyes. In spirit's eyes, if you can prescribe eyes to spirit, which we try not to do, but we're humans, so we have to. Again, my human limitations. Spirit doesn't see, 15 different people sitting here watching this. It sees love. That's all. And it doesn't see hairstyles, it doesn't see clothing, it doesn't see skin color or eye color or anything else. It just that's me out there. That's me.
In that instance, first of all, I got to back up. As humans, we're now studying very, very intently on understanding the power and authority of being humans. And it's very difficult from time to time because we often hear so many others diminish human. I'm just a human and I'm a lowly human, and that kind of, in my human limitations, and the effort to recognize the power and authority in being human is the challenge, because folks have embraced the limitations. But that's not what I want to address. The part that you were saying is we're looking at each other. It made me laugh because, as many of you know, I am on a new adventure. I have a new whole family. I have teenagers that 17, 16, and 14 that I'm getting to know, and they're getting to know me. And so, of course, as I'm giving instructions and guidance, and I say I'm just observing, I'm sharing my observation, I have to conclude. It takes one to know one. I see, I am only letting you know what I see in me. I'm sharing with you what I see in me. I'm sharing with you what I see about you that I know about me. That's been the line that I have been sharing with them through this new adventure, because, as you said, Reverend Glen, we are looking at ourselves. We are one. And as I see you, I see me. To not see me is to deny who I am. To look at you and not see me is to deny. That's why we do. You say you want to aggravate me. That's why you want to aggravate me. I know you weren't talking about me particularly, but when you said, if I could aggravate you and you still listen, you did well, then why would you aggravate yourself? But we don't look at life that way. That is because we continue to uphold the separation and not move towards the unity. And I have to say to my young people, what you do to you is what you do to us. What you do to us is what you do to yourself. Do you want to hurt yourself? And ask them to be mindful. And it takes mindfulness. It takes a lot of effort to come into the awareness of the authority we do have as human. It's easy to set on the side and say, oh yeah, I'm just a lowly human, and because I'm human, I can make those errors and I don't have to think. And I can be confused. No. It takes effort to decide not to be confused and to be willing to step forward.
No, you really hit the nail on the head when you in your little your exhortation there, beautifully put together. Because I was just about to say that and I wish that 4 people who dropped off was here to see or to hear what we're discussing here today, because it's all about people and about, yes, this is my team, and yeah, there's another team over there, but the team that I'm competing against it's me anyhow. And I have this I don't want to say challenge, but it shows up in every coaching session that I have, every counseling session that I have with someone, because explaining to them or trying to show them that, listen, yes, your friend, your husband, your cousin, your sister is, yes, she's doing all of that. Yes, he's doing all of that as a fact. However, that is you. And, sometimes they say, oh, no, I beg to differ. This is where I'm going to disagree with you. This is where I'm going to push back on you. And we end up having a fist fight over that, because it's no way that I would insult her like she did. It's no way that I would say those indescribable, despicable things about her. There's no way that I would be puffed up like that and being rude, let's say rude, out of order. No, she did it. No, he did it. So I that's what I face every week in my so well, I wondered if there's an easier way to put it so that it's more palatable, let's say, because probably it's my way of putting it, right?
Yeah, and I will have to say it is your way of putting it, and a part of it is the unwillingness of our ego, for lack of a better term, because our soul is willing, but there's that part of us that has to protect. So it's that unwillingness of our ego to accept that what we're hearing is the truth of ourselves. And so, and you're encouraging them to see that the aggression or the offense was their own. It does not come across as you sharing with them they're sharing with them a way of seeing themselves. You are demonstrating or continuing to demonstrate that we're still separate. So no, I don't know how to exactly put this. When I started out, when I opened up on this one to respond, the idea was a little clearer than it is now. But I do understand how it is difficult to share with individuals that they're looking at themselves when they're talking with others, and especially those people who want to be helpful, like me.
Yes.
You want to always help someone to live differently or live broader, and to be able to enjoy the greatness of our life. Yet it is very difficult for me to embrace that idea for myself. I want others to have it, but I have to embrace it for myself. And so I have to show you, not tell you. And it's difficult to show rather than to tell, especially when we don't live together.
The lesson I keep coming back to is reminding myself that I do not have to like the offense. I do not have to accept the offense, but I do get to control how I react to the offense. And these type of things, and again, I go back to my 50s and 60s upbringing with my cowboy movies, my horsey movies, as my daughter used to say. You do not stand in front of a stampede and order it to stop. You start running at the same pace in the same direction, and as you get to the head of it, you begin to bend it in on itself so that it stops itself. We don't argue our position with someone who clearly isn't there yet. Like you said, we live our example. We try to remain calm whenever possible. Or, sometimes you just got to get right in their face with them and get their attention. but immediately back off and say, okay, now I've got your attention. Can you give me a moment of your time, type of thing, and let me turn the stampede in on itself so that we can at least communicate with each other and not just shout at each other. So it's always coming back to, I get to control my feelings. And hopefully, you know, I've shared the story before of my boss who, when I stopped gossiping with him about a third person, eventually he stopped demonstrating that behavior as well. And at some point we came to the conclusion that, well, that was dumb what we were doing before. Why were we wasting so much energy hating somebody else who really wasn't doing anything to hurt us? And so again, it's just like, well, if I control what I do, eventually that example will rub off. If it's the correct example. Well, we know it'll rub off even if it's the incorrect example, because if I explode back at you, I can probably expect another explosion coming in my direction pretty quick.
Another stampede.
Exactly.
Oh, now one point before we go about Schrodinger's cat. The first time I heard about Schrodinger's cat was on a comedy, The Big Bang Theory, and I was doing my best to sort it out, to understand what it means. Is the cat dead or is it alive, or is it? How do you just expound a little bit on that? How the cat can be dead and alive at the same time?
Basically, it's a question of, we don't know. We know that. And if you go into more detail, there's actually, they say, well, there's an atomic particle put in the box that we know will be fatal to any living organism. And that's how we know that the cat will at some point probably be dead. But at any given point, until we actually open the box, we don't have any way of knowing whether it's alive or dead. So in the overall thinking, it's like, well, we have to declare it. We can't declare it one or the other until we open the box and look. Because we just haven't, I mean, you know, you can say, well, I haven't heard anything, all that other stuff, but, you know, it's like, no, basically, let's say the box is in another room and you can't hear anything. So you have to look, you have to make the observation. And until you have definitive evidence one way or the other, it has to be both. And he was basically just talking about quantum physics and all sorts of much more deeper subjects that I can get into or care to or have any knowledge of, you know, saying that until it's absolutely proven, we don't know what it is. Therefore, we need to look.
Okay.
Basically,
So,
that was the point of this thing, is that we need
got it.
to keep looking.
So in other words, we have to inquire for ourselves.
Yes.
We can't just be stand off and say, oh, just scratch our head and wonder, keep wondering what's in the box. We have to open it at some point.
Yeah, we can't just turn on a certain news channel and say, well, so-and-so said it, so therefore that's gospel, and I will lead the rest of my life believing that to be true.
Okay.
You know, it'd be prudent for any of us, regardless of what we heard, to check another source and see if everybody seems to be in agreement, and at the same time remain open to the fact that new information could change everybody's mind.
Okay.
You know, 15 people can swear up and down that cat is dead.
Yeah.
If you open the box and the cat jumps out, surprise, new information.
Surprise. Okay, got you. I got you. Yeah, we got to investigate for ourselves. Prove
And
things
remain
for
open
ourselves.
to new information.
And remain open to new information. Don't just gridlock yourself into.
We can't just seal the box up and say, okay, that's it. This subject's been, you know, we're done with it.
It's closed. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we got to be more than conservative. Got you. Thank you so very much, Reverend Glen. That was an eye-opener today. Thank you for, yes, for all of us who participated.